Welcome to Vermontitude, a collaborative effort between Great Eastern Radio, the Brattleboro Reformer, and BCTV to bring you the stories behind the stories on the topics you want to learn more about. Because there's always more, so there'll always be Vermontitude. Hosted by me, Peter Fish Case. Welcome to Vermontitude. New episodes drop every Tuesday and can be found by going to vermontitude.com, reformer.com, brattleboro.tv, and locally on Comcast Channel 1078. We come to you from our studios at the Innovation Box on Flat Street. I'm Peter Fish Case, and each week I cover the topics that are of concern to Windham County and the towns that reside within its borders. This is the last episode of 2023, and it also marks the 56th episode of a project I started to inform and engage a little differently. It's been a great year of shows, but it's time to close out 2023 and look back at what we've done. And to help me do that today, I welcome Ian Goodnow, who's the chair of the Brattleboro Selectboard. Camera's on you, sir. Say hello.
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on Vermontitude.
Yeah. All right. So we kind of thought, I went back and forth with Ian. I was like, we should, because I'm a select board member, so it's going to be a little weird not to be this interview or interview role. We're just going to kind of go back and forth on some of these things. But we thought it would be kind of fun to break down the year and what the select board has done in Brattleboro.
Yeah, have we done anything at all, Peter?
I don't know. I think we have a list here. We had to actually pare it down. And in all fairness, as we discussed, some of it's really dry.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
It's important. It's maybe dry to some people. I think for me as a municipal nerd,
I'm total municipal nerd. No question there.
Not as dry for me.
All right. But I think we should start with, and this all happened before I was elected onto the board, the onboarding of John Potter, our new town manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, you were elected at the beginning of last year, and the turnover for the board is in March. So what we're kind of talking about was beginning in January of 2023, and that was John Potter, our new town manager, starting. And so maybe I'd say probably for the entire year of 2023, one of the board's accomplishments has been onboarding and now successfully having a new town manager. It's not really much that we've done because it's mostly John, but he's been great. I'm incredibly grateful for all of his work. And, I think we on the board really benefit a lot from his organizational skills and all of his experience that he brings to the town. So, I'd say it's a big accomplishment for the board, but mostly it's for John. Yeah, no, he's in my estimation, he's doing a great job. He's hyper focused. He makes what you and I do a whole bunch easier. Yes, very much so. And I'm looking forward to him being here another year and years after that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not chasing him away.
Yes.
All right. So kind of when I started, we began this conversation with the ARPA preliminary project list, which is interesting because in our last select board meeting, we just kind of sort of had a little bit of a snapshot of what that looks like.
Yeah. So the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act funds are a very unique fund source that towns throughout Vermont have had to sort of figure out what to do with. And for Brattleboro, we started earlier this year looking at ways to make a determination on what to do with those funds.
Right.
And we've had a lot of community input through surveys, and we haven't really finished that work, but we've made a lot of progress. I think in our last meeting, we were able to narrow down that discussion to a couple of really important, interesting community fed ideas, and then also some important capital investments that are going to help save taxpayer dollars and also invest back into the community. So
and speaking of saving taxpayer dollars, which is something that we work really hard to do, there were 16 grant applications for a total of $3.1 million.
Yeah.
Right. So let's Talk, because when I know it's impossible, and I've said this, like I've Googled a time where people have been able to turn back the tax clock in any municipality, and taxes just go up. It's an unfortunate thing, but these kind of grants and our staff looking into these kind of things really help keep the tax base lower.
Yeah, and that's 2023, 16 grant applications, $3.1 million of federal or state monies that are in those applications. It's basically one of the ways that we keep the tax rate down is by taking advantage of all of these different pots of money that are available for municipalities for all sorts of different projects. And some of those things are maybe things that we would potentially use tax dollars for. Some of them we never would unless we had access to those grant monies. And so it's a way that our municipal staff save the town money and then also create new opportunities by both knowing about those applications and then also completing them and putting out good quality applications that could potentially win us those grants and often do.
Yeah. And those are the things I would refer to as dry. But really, really important stuff.
Yeah.
Also dry, but equally as important are the implementing OpenGov and a brand new town website, which helps us kind of navigate through and helps you, the citizen, kind of keep a tighter watch on what's going on.
Yeah, and I think if anyone has watched my time on the select board, they know that I've felt frustrated with how clunky our old website was for years. Yeah. This year in November is the final sort of reveal of really years of work getting the website redone. And that coupled with OpenGov, which this is another dry thing, but it's a full service, a full sort of slate of services through like financial software that help to both inwardly organize our finances and our budget for the municipal staff, but then also outwardly allow folks in the community to be able to see sort of the live budget as it's happening.
Yeah.
And if you go to other municipalities throughout the country, you'll see where you can access those kind of budgets with that kind of software, either with OpenGov or other software like it. So very exciting stuff. And if you go, you can now go to the Brattleboro website, and I'm proud of what you see now. And that feels like a huge accomplishment. And it's the way that many people interact with our government. Really, like when are you going to have recycling and trash? You go to the website, and now when you go to the website, you actually can find that information. And you can pull it up on your phone. Yeah, that's amazing.
I used to joke with the old website that it lived just on a steady diet of PDFs. Yes. It would swallow them, and you couldn't find them.
You really couldn't. Yeah. And for the select board in particular, now if you go to the select board website, the select board portion of the Brattleboro website, that it's now so easy to navigate and find what's our agenda for the next meeting, what's the backup material. You can find all of the agendas for the last year now on that portion of the website. And I'm really grateful for the work that went into that. And I'm also I'm just really proud that we can now have like a good looking face to the municipal government online. And
you know what else you can find on that website? Our priorities that were set during our board retreat.
Yeah, and that would be another select board accomplishment for sure. In my time on the board, we haven't had anything like a retreat or any kind of goal setting meeting. We just sort of talked about goals in a normal select board meeting. But this year, John Potter, the town manager, thought it would be a good idea to do a retreat and actually sit down for multiple hours and kind of hash out what we want to accomplish this year. And I think that was a really good focusing opportunity. And have we accomplished all of those goals? No.
but we're working towards them.
Yeah.
And again, I promised I wouldn't do this. I'm part of this process.
Yes. Yeah. Very much so.
So and they are there. They're in writing. That makes them real. And so our feet are a little bit to the fire to kind of do those. And a few of the things that we did. already would involve the security services, security cameras that are around town. This sort of helps make our downtown and our parking structure a little safer. And the we don't have like hard data. We don't have this stuff in a spreadsheet, but myself, the assistant chief of police, and John Potter did a little clipboard tour, and we asked the question, and the overarching was that, having this security guard and a few extra cameras and the upgraded cameras make people feel more secure. So we're getting there.
Yeah. And I think, that was a goal, but that was a real, going into April, May of 2023, we knew that was the parking garage situation was something that needed to be addressed and addressed quickly. And I think, I'm sure there are residents who think that we could act even quicker, and I don't necessarily disagree with them.
Nope, I don't. I've often said with this position, you it's all the red tape you can eat.
Yeah, but there has been actual steps taken, and I think that there is market improvement in that area of downtown, which is really important.
It really is. Let's jump to the first select board legislative agenda.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yes. So another first, as far as I know, at least for my time on the board, actually inviting our delegation. So that's both our legislatures and our senators to a select board meeting to hear both from the board and from the public on important issues that impact the town of Brattleboro that we need our delegation going to Montpelier to hear.
Right.
And I think it really came from a place of really often I'm told either by people in the municipal government or other people in town that this isn't really a local issue, this is a statewide issue. And that kind of rings hollow for me.
Yeah.
And so bringing those individuals who can impact in Washington, in Montpelier, and it goes up.
We'll invite Becca and the rest in.
We should do that too.
Yeah.
Bringing them to the select board and having them hear from us and hear from the community on these issues is really important. And and everyone probably knows what we're talking about. It's really about it's economics, it's houselessness, it's drugs. It's like these are the issues that are real for Brattleboro right now.
Yep. No, they are, and it was good to have them there. We had both of our senators there. We had Emily Kornheiser. I think Tristan Tolino jumped on Zoom, and it was good. It's just enough of a weightiness to get people in to say, here's your opportunity. Your select board has, even though these people are operating above our purview, but we have just enough clout to bring them to the table. And when I say that, I want to say that it was like we didn't force anybody. We extended them an invitation, they accepted. And it gives us a chance to do that. And this is how the process moves forward. It doesn't move quickly. Very, very aggravating for both Ian and I and everybody else on the select board. We wish things could move a little faster, but they don't. And it doesn't just take the 5 people that sit at your select board and the 6 people that serve Windham County. It takes everybody. So don't,
Yeah, it does. And I think the only other thing that came from that's important to note is not only did we meet with our delegation, but we also set in place a plan for follow-up moving forward with that delegation. So a plan to meet with them in March, and then having another meeting with the delegation after our next select board goal setting session in the spring. So you sort of start to see that some of these firsts this year are kind of hopefully going to come together in more of a plan next year to have a more cohesive select board year, incorporating these key moments during the board year.
Right. Yeah. And which is why I kind of wanted to bring you and I into a room and have this conversation in a formal format, because some people think we don't do anything. And I get it, because it moves a little slow. Yeah. It does. And it's often very dry, as we discussed. We went through a round of collective bargaining agreements, which ended successfully.
Yes. We have 4 unions in the town of Brattleboro, and every 3 years those union contracts come back up for negotiation. I think that's a good example of that's a lot of work that for both the unions and for town staff and for the select board. And I feel like we landed in a fair and good place on all of those contracts. And then those contracts go before the select board in open meeting, so everyone gets to see what they are. That was done in the spring and early summer.
Right, and we also passed a walk bike plan.
Yep,
that was. I mean, we're an outdoor recreation kind of town.
Yes, and I think you spoke at the last select board meeting about how we have lots of plans.
Yeah, we got lots of plans.
So I think it's just the first step.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing we've even seen people come to the board at the last meeting asking for things that are from that bike walk plan, and it's a really good set of goals that we actually can work towards. And
right.
Instead of just saying, oh, we want to make the road safe for pedestrians and for bikers, and not doing anything about it, having this actually gives us some sort of sense on how we can accomplish that.
There's an old saying, plan your work, then work your plan.
There you go.
So yes. and that's what we're doing there. We also have a little emergency housing response team, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that's very much an ongoing project. This revolves a lot around the state motel program as, and not to really get too far into that, but Brattleboro is impacted by that program and the funding of that program and what's going to happen with that program, and the emergency housing response team comes directly from that. So the town decided we're not just going to sit around and hope this problem goes away. We pulled in actors throughout the community who can impact this, brought them into one room, keep them in that room every month, and are working towards solutions on how to resolve issues that come from homelessness and houselessness in our community.
Right. And this is, again, just to let you know, this is active things that your elected officials here in Brattleboro are constantly aware of and working on. It's not just something that just sort of pops up every sixth meeting.
Yeah.
This is an ongoing process.
Yeah, and I think we'll see some concrete things coming from that. I think a lot of the work that goes into that is just keeping all of these different human service agencies in the town all on the same page as this issue is unfolding. Right, that alone is an accomplishment, because we've got a lot of different people in a lot of different areas working on this, and keeping them together and working towards solutions together is important. But then I think there will be some things coming from that that are more concrete as well.
And finally, EMS. That was a thing that we labored on at least the first 6 months of my term on the board, and it was a decision that anybody made lightly. And I will preface this whole conversation by saying I happened to be in Swansea, New Hampshire, the day before the final vote, and talking to a select board member over there, who made not a suggestion, but like a reference of saying, like, when you get out of college, you rent an apartment, and then eventually you grow up and you buy a house. And said, so you've rented really good services for a very long time. It's time for you to own it. And I think that's kind of where we wound up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's interesting.
Did I take your thunder?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. Yeah. I think I have so many things I could say about that whole experience.
It's tough, and we know it was a very sensitive issue, and we came to a decision. And I think over the next few years, I do believe that we will see a positive flow from this decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as far as talking about the future on EMS, I believe, based on all the information I had and the decision that I personally came to, that we're going to see huge benefits for the town with moving forward with municipal EMS. As far as like 2023 select board accomplishment on this issue, we spent 6 months diligently looking at this and making sure that we had all the information we possibly could to make the most informed decision we could.
And by all the information, if you need to know how much gauze is kept on a Class 1 ambulance, I'm your guy.
Yeah, and that's not just select board. That's municipal staff all the way through, and making sure that we had options to consider, and eventually ending up in where I believe was the right decision for the town.
Right. So there it is, man. That's a look back at some of the stuff, right? So, when Ian and I were kind of putting this list together, we were realizing, oh yeah. I mean, even we forget.
Yeah.
So I think it was good to remind you, and I thank you for jumping on Vermontitude and helping us remember.
It's my pleasure, and it's been a pleasure working on the board with you as well.
You as well, man. Thanks.
Thanks.